Hello and welcome to OneMedicine. Today I'll be talking about Pompholyx or Dyshidrotic Eczema. It's a type of an endogenous eczema. So the disease is characterized by palmoplantar vesiculation, that is, on the palms and soles we have vesicles seen in this particular condition. Vesicles are present. On the palms, if it is majorly present on the palms, it is called as chiropomphylix. If it is present on the soles, it is called as podopomphylix. So since majority site of involvement mostly here is the palms and soles, there are names given to this as well. So the incidence being 5 to 20% of all the hand eczema cases. Eczema can be because of a numerous causes, but one of the causes would be Pompholyx or dyshidrotic eczema. Etiology. Etiology is not yet properly understood. There is a personal or a family history of atopy present. Atopy being can be a personal history. Someone in the family or the patient itself can have history of allergies or asthma or any food allergy or any drug allergy or any allergy to anything the patient can have. So the allergy atopic history can be present in the patient, and direct contact allergens have also been implicated in causing Pompholyx. The allergens which are implicated are primin, isopropyl paraphenylene diamine, benzoisothiazolones, dichromates, perfumes, fragrance, balsam ingredients. So anything can trigger the lesions. Even nickel sulfate, also even oral nickel sulfate can trigger the lesions. Cobalt chloride, oral neomycin. Neomycin is said to be one of the very important topical, most common topical medicine which causes contact dermatitis. It's implicated in causing contact dermatitis again, which is a form of eczema. Eczema is a very broad term. All this contact dermatitis, allergic, irritant contact dermatitis, many things come under the category of eczemas. Certain drugs like aspirin and oral contraceptive pills also can cause Pompholyx. Active fungal infection focus if the patient has any bacterial infection, if the patient has stress, cigarette smoking, even hyperhidrosis. This hyperhidrosis is a very important clinical feature also. So the patient can present to you with the vesicles in the palms and soles with increased sweating. Hyperhidrosis is nothing but increased sweating. So the patient can come with these particular complaints as well. Clinically, we see vesicles which appear in crops on the palms and soles, palms and also on the sides of the fingers. Mostly, you see the crops of lesions, vesicles arising. In majority of the cases, that is in 80% of the cases, the only hands are affected. Okay, and in 10% of the cases, hands and feet both are affected. The vesicles are very itchy. The patient will tell you that he keeps itching all the time. They'll be very, very itchy. So the lesions being very itchy here. And the patients have an urge to squeeze them and also prick them. Such severe is the itching here. They're deep-seated vesicles and they look like sago grains. So that's how they're seen on the palms and soles if the lesions are present. Very itchy lesions. They tend to coalesce to form bullae also, fluid-filled lesion. They do not rupture. Like the normal bullae. They do not rupture here, but they dry out and underlying skin will peel off later. Okay, and each episode spontaneously will subside in around 2 to 3 weeks time. It will dissolve on its own. The lesions can sometimes become secondarily infected and become painful also. Lymphangitis and cellulitis like features may be seen, but on rubbing the lesions, secondary eczematization changes can be seen. That is, there can be abrasions or lichenification, scratch marks which can arise. Nail changes can occur after recurrent attacks which spread to dorsi of the finger. So nail changes, sometimes if there's recurrent attacks, then nail changes also can be seen. Intermittent or sporadic occurrences are the rule. So patients will have many episodes of these particular conditions. So here you can see here the vesicles on the palms which are there, right? So here after secondarily scratching the lesions, these are the lesions here, but you can see the vesicles kind of thing present on the palms here. Again, you can see those lesions which are secondarily infected with crusting. These are certain pustules also which are seen here. Okay, so the histopathology of these lesions will tell us in the acute stage it looks like an eczema. However, eczema presents because this again is an endogenous eczema, because atopy is associated. So the histopathology will be like an eczema. In the acute phase, there will be spongiosis leading to micro or macro vesicles. There will be infiltration of leukocytes, mostly lymphocytes, into the epidermis and the apodermis. So inflammatory cells infiltrate will be there in the acute phase. In the subacute phase, the spongiosis will come down with no vesicles and the leukocytes also will come down. In the chronic phase, spongiosis will be absent and the epidermal thickening is more pronounced here with acanthosis, hyperkeratosis, parakeratosis. There's thickening of the epidermis which happens in the chronic stage because of chronic itching and chronic pruritus and the secondary changes that have taken place. Initially we see spongiosis, which then later has become acanthosis. thickening has taken place here. Okay, the topical treatment would be, you treat the patient with soaks in compressors of potassium permanganate, that is 1:10,000 dilution. A solution of aluminium subacetate can be given in severe cases. If there's a large blister fluid, that has to be aspirated by a sterile syringe. Topical steroids with or without bed traps can be given. Topical tacrolimus 0.1% ointment. The topical steroid most commonly used is topical mometasone furoate can be used. Systemic therapy being, in severe cases, we go for a short course of systemic steroids. According to body weight, we can give a short course of systemic steroids to control the inflammatory symptoms. So if the lesions are secondarily infected with bacteria, then we go for oral antibiotics also. Since there is very severe itching, you give sedative antihistaminics to the patients. So it will help in reducing the itching also. And another drug which can be tried is a low dose methotrexate, that is only 5 mg per week. Okay, that is the low dose. 5 mg per week can be used. And also dapsone can be given. Dapsone can be 100 mg per day, which can be tried in these particular patients. Other therapies like local photochemotherapy with PUA therapy or UVA1 phototherapy can be given. There can be associated hyperhidrosis, as I told you. To reduce the hyperhidrosis, botulinum toxin A, intralesional injection of botulinum toxin A can be given, that is Botox injection can be given. And to reduce the hyperhidrosis, again, tap water iontophoresis can be done. In very resistant cases, sometimes radiation therapy also has helped. Mostly for the patients, you can give antihistaminics. Antihistamines can be given. Antihistamines and topical steroids will basically help in controlling the lesions if it is a first episode, right? And control all the triggers which are causing this. That will reduce the symptoms and the disease.